Hi. Hi,
Hi-
George.
How you doing, Rico?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much again for this last spur of the moment, whatever, for joining me.
Those are the best dreams.
I do really appreciate that. I had some issues with the guest today, and George is on the list. We've been talking, trying to work out the schedule, but our schedules don't match up very well. So it was perfect that it worked out today. So, okay,
Yeah.
let's real quick. Let's tell you again. If you are new here, we're not looking at the chat at all. George and I were going to have a conversation for about an hour or so, and then the second half we'll open it up to the chat and let you guys ask questions of George. Um, I appreciate everybody being here. A couple of quick things. Lefty hit 2,000 subscribers today. Bunny Viper is still in the hospital, but she's doing well and she should be coming home tomorrow. I just got a text from her mom a little while ago saying that she would be coming home tomorrow probably. So good news there. And again, mods, if there are any, if there's any mods, I see Lefty and Brennan. If you guys see people asking questions, please remind them that we ask the questions in the second half, because I just absolutely hate people thinking that they're being ignored. All right, that's it. And I see Super Fish Nude. Callie, it's been a while. It's good to see you, Callie. There's Steven. Steven came in. Whole bunch of people. Bunch of awesome people. Okay. All right, George. Let's do this thing. Obviously, George. Now, how long have you been hanging around the Fish fam, roughly?
I have to say at least 3 years. At least
Really?
three. Yeah, that I've been. You see, I was more one of those people that was subscribed but didn't have any content. I was just watching and learning and all that. And it wasn't until this January actually of 2022 that I actually posted my very first video,
Gotcha.
and that's how I got it all going.
And I think that might be around the time. I don't remember you from last year, but that doesn't mean
Well,
anything. I mean, I'm a small channel.
the
So.
name changed too, though. I was
Oh.
actually using my own name when I was before Mexicali Fishkeeper.
Oh.
So if you
Okay.
look at your subscriptions, you'll probably see a George Sanchez there, and that's me.
Okay. Okay. That makes more sense then, because I was like, how did I miss you for 3 years? Well, I haven't been around for 3 years.
Yeah.
I've only been around for a couple, but yeah, how did I miss you for all that time? And that drink looks fabulous, by the way.
Oh,
too.
it's delicious.
It looks delicious. All right. So let's see. What do I know about you? I know that you lived a lot of your life in California in the Imperial Valley.
Yes.
But that you've moved to the Yuma area. You're close to Yuma, right?
I'm in
In
Yuma.
Arizona. Because I lived in Arizona for a long time. Not Yuma. I lived around the valley, around Phoenix. But I know we talk sometimes about the weather and different things about Arizona. Yeah, I remember. So why don't you walk us through that? Were you born in the Imperial Valley in California? Or?
Actually, no. I was actually born in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
I was born up in LA. I lived up there, I want to say, until I was probably about 7, 8. And then my parents moved back to the Imperial Valley. My dad and my mom are originally from Mexicali, which is the Mexico City across the border from the Imperial Valley.
Oh, okay.
And the way, if you look at it on a map, the city you're going to find that's the neighboring city for Mexicali, it's Calexico. And then from there, it's the Imperial Valley is composed of several towns, but the largest ones or the bigger towns, and when I'm saying bigger, it's probably like 50,000 people in each town. El Centro probably being the largest, which I think is 100 and something. And but it was composed going from south to north. You have Calexico, and then you would have Heber. Heber used to be maybe 10,000 people, but now it's been swallowed by El Centro because it's grown.
Okay, so that is California because there's a Heber in Arizona.
This is all California. This is all Southern California, the very south. You can't go further south than us, or else you will be in Mexico, and you won't need a green card to get back. And so and it's composed of Calexico, Heber, El Centro, Imperial, Brawley, and then to the east and to the east you would have Hopeville. To the west is another small community called Sealy, and all of those encompass and make the Imperial Valley. And our area down here, even though it's a desert, it is a agricultural town.
Yeah, I was actually
And
going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
and we're if it wasn't for the water we're getting in from the Colorado River, and that's real interesting how the engineering did it back in 1905, I believe, that they started bringing that water into the Imperial Valley. We would be desert. I mean, it's like if people are having any understanding of Palm Springs, we're exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're green because of the water we bring in. And I just so happen to now currently be working for that agency that's in charge of managing that water, which is the Imperial County Irrigation. I mean, the Imperial Irrigation District.
And we'll get into that. We'll get into what you do and stuff, and that's cool. And I did know that they were a huge place, agriculture, because we used to always get tons of stuff, cabbage, broccoli, all kinds of stuff from the Imperial Valley. I'm trying to think of other things. When I lived in Arizona, I was a produce manager, so I would see that name, Imperial Valley, on the boxes all the time. I think most of the time, El Centro was the one that was the main one.
That has traditionally been, and it's funny because El Centro, and it's a Spanish word, which means the center.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
El Centro really is the center of the Imperial Valley, and it's where the main interstate runs through, which is Interstate 8. So if you're coming from Arizona to San Diego, you always drew by our little town. We're that one gas station off of Interstate 8.
Yeah.
Well, not so little now, but it used to be when I was growing up.
Yeah. So how long did you, so you moved back there from LA. How old were you when you moved back?
I was 7 when my parents moved. So I was pretty much raised in the Imperial Valley, but I spent a very large portion of my life living between Mexicali and Calexico, which is the U.S. side of the border. For the longest time, I used to commute daily back and forth from crossing the border to go to school and stuff like that. And I was doing that, but I wasn't the only one. It was you always knew when it was a school week, because around 7:00 in the morning, you see this large influx of all these kids. Coming across the border to go to school. And then around 3:00 in the afternoon, the same crowd going back.
Yeah.
And we used to do that every day. And, but times were a little bit different then.
Sure.
You didn't have a lot of the stuff going on down there now, like there is now.
Yeah.
With all the insecurity down there and stuff like that. So, I mean, I used to literally, and if we were in the United States, my parents would have been arrested. But I must have been in 3rd grade, and my mom would just walk me to go get the cab at the corner of the street where we lived, and she would tell the cab driver, "You need to drop him off by the border because he needs to go to school." And that happened every day. And after a while, you kind of got familiar with some of the cab drivers because they have routes. It's not like New York cabs where you flag a cab and you tell them where you want to go.
Yeah.
The way it's designed down there, they have specific routes that they belong to.
Yeah.
And so we eventually you get to know most of those cab drivers.
More like a bus.
Yeah. But these were just, cabs. But there were shared rides. It wasn't a particular cab. So, people were getting in as they drove down the route.
Yeah.
And it was funny though, because I can't imagine this happening today, but if you got out of line, my mom used to tell the driver, make sure you smack him in the back of the head. If he's not listening to you and he's trying to do something else, or he's trying to get off at an exit that doesn't belong to him, you smack the hell out of him. So, I don't see that happening today, but, that's what it was back then.
I don't want to get into that too deeply, but yeah, when I was a kid, the principal had a paddle, and neighbors would, if you were out of line, all the neighbors knew who you were, and they would put you back in line quickly, and everybody did that. Everybody was looking out for everybody else, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into that because there's a lot of good and bad. So what made you decide to move to Yuma then, to move away from there? Was it for work or what? And how long ago was that? How long ago did you move away from there?
We moved here 2 years ago. I think we're going on our 3rd year.
Okay, so not recent.
Too long. It hasn't been long. And in reality, I didn't even move that far. It's only 54 miles from the Imperial Valley, which is one of the reasons why we came here. I think the ultimate goal was to end up where I am now, but I took a gamble. And I took a gamble because at the time when we moved out here, I was having to commute back and forth to the Imperial Valley. So it was about an hour and 15-minute drive one way. So I was doing that, for our schedule. Luckily, the second year that we had moved over here, we had gone to like a 12-hour shift out of that department that I was working at. So now my commute wasn't as many times. I was only going down there 4 times out of the week, if that. And
Gotcha.
so that helped out. And then finally, within this year, I think I've been at the dam now. I want to say since April or March of this year, and that really cut it to just a 20-minute drive.
Nice.
So
it is nice. I've done that too.
Yeah.
I've had long commutes and then found a job that was very close to home, and just geez, you feel like you got all this free time all of a sudden, you know?
Oh yeah. But the only thing that I didn't like is that I went back to the old crazy schedule, like the one that I sent you, where I work like 7 days straight. I'm off 2, and then I go back and work 5, and then I'm off 4. It's just and it's shift work because we have to man our positions 24 hours a day. So we have to have somebody on every hour.
So you rotate, right?
Yes.
Certain times you do the second shift and your third shift, and
like right now I'm coming off of doing swings, which is from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock at night. I'm off to today and tomorrow, and then I go back to days, which would be from 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. And then after that shift, I go to graveyard, and that's the one I usually hate because I work 7 days straight as a day shift. You supposedly get 2 days, but it's really only a day and a half.
Yeah, because
you're coming in the second day you're off. You're coming in at 10 o'clock to work to 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, even as long as I've been doing that, I just can't sleep during the day. If I get 4 straight hours of sleep, I call it a good day.
Yeah, I did that too for a long time. So what do you prefer the most? Is it that morning shift, or is it?
I'm a morning person. I'm a morning person. As a matter of fact, one of my friends that I have, Warrior Planet Tech, Steve, he's always giving me a hard time because he goes, "Don't you ever sleep?" Because I'm calling him early in the morning as soon as I get up, and I'll send him something because we have a stream together, and I'm always trying to send him ideas of what we're going to do or stuff like that, or stuff that we were supposed to do. And he goes, "I haven't had my coffee yet. Why are you calling me so early?" I said, "It's not my fault. You're retired."
When is that too? I don't think I see that. I don't think I ever. I know I'm subscribed to you, but I don't.
It's under a different. We made its own channel, and it's called Fish, Plants, y Más.
Yeah, I saw that. Maybe I saw it on Instagram or something.
Yeah, and I'm always putting it everywhere I can manage to put it on. And we did that because we didn't want to run into that whole situation. We'll stream on your channel one week and then mine the next week. Yeah. It just makes things, it confuses everybody too much. And I think once they figure out where we're at, and it just makes it easier. Everybody kind of knows that to go there. And we do it every other Saturday. Like this Saturday, we had Drew on, and
always fun.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't subscribed, but I did see that, and I'm subscribed now. And thank you, Zen Ginger, for dropping that link too.
Yeah, and we try to do it every other week, and it's just simply because I've learned from you guys. And I know it can be pretty challenging to try to go on every week. That's one thing. And then the other thing is we all have lives, and sometimes we got things we have to do on the weekends or we want to do on the weekends. And this way it just makes it easier for the both of us. You guys don't get sick of seeing us every weekend.
I mean, I stream almost every day, so but I never really have a topic. I just get up here and start talking because it just flows, so but yeah, I do get it, and I understand, talking to like James, Fish Room Fever, and Ed, a lot of times they struggle to come up with new stuff because they've been doing it every week for 3 years now. So yeah, it can be difficult to always have new content for streams like that really care about new content.
Yeah, and I think really what it is the way we're trying to carve our niches, we're trying to do it to a certain point educational. We'll pick certain topics within the hobby and we'll expand on them and stuff like that. Like uh, prior to Drew, we were talking about collecting hardscape from your local resource areas,
Yes.
stuff like that. And some of the implications, if you're not careful where you're gathering stuff from, you can get in trouble with the law
Yep.
if you're not aware of what's out there. So those are the kind of things that we like to put. It's just a different take on some of the subjects that have already been talked about.
Yeah.
But we like to kind of put it, in a little bit more focused and I guess if not necessarily, I wouldn't want to say serious, but it's more task oriented as to what we're trying to accomplish.
Gotcha. And that is something to be concerned with. Is knowing the local laws where you're collecting, plus knowing what's around where you collect, because if you're collecting next to a farm, they could be spraying pesticides. Especially something on wood. On rock, it's not so, but on woods that's going to absorb that kind of stuff. Things to be concerned about. But I love collecting. Absolutely love it. I try to do it as often as I can.
Yeah, I envy the fact that you can get driftwood off the lake where you have near your home.
Too bad you're not going to the Keystone Clash, because I'm bringing a trunk full of stuff to give away.
Well, I go down here, and you're familiar with the washes, and you get a lot of the carrizo bushes that get they're dried out and they get washed during the storm. Yeah. And I pick up some of those, and I've been using those, and I've had some pretty good success because they're already dried out, so they don't have any of the oils in the wood or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they work for me. I mean, my plecos like it. They
do you have a lot of cholla around you at all?
Not here, but I was telling my wife the other day, because we have a swap meet here in town, and during the winter swap meets are big down here because you get a lot of the snowbirds coming down, and they really love. Well, there's a guy out here that has beautiful pieces of cholla wood. I don't know where he's getting it from, but he's selling them like for $4 or $5 a piece, and they're good sized pieces. And I go on some of these sites and look what they cost.
Oh yeah,
Oh wow, this guy's almost giving it away. Yeah, and he'll have as long as you want them, and he'll cut them down to size if you need them smaller. So
I lived around Phoenix, usually around Mesa and Tempe, so around Phoenix, and I remember us going. I can't remember where the hike was. I think it was Red Mountain Park. But anyways, took my son. We went up and we went hiking, and there was a cholla cactus, and he kicked it. And then we went off and did our hike, and we came back, and he goes, "There's that cactus I cacked instead of cactus I kicked." I do that all the time. I transpose those letters. So I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're my son," But yeah, I mean, I remember seeing just huge skeletons of the cholla cactus all over the place.
Yeah,
my wife brought me some home when she went last time.
Yeah, and that and rocks. I mean, well, actually, the reason that came up is because Steven's always laughing at the fact that he goes, "Man, you should be selling some of that hardscape," because I'm always bringing back rocks. And one of the things that I'll do is inside the wash, I'll get buckets full of just with gravel, sand, and all that, and then I'll sort it out. I have some sifters, and I'll run it through there, and I'll separate it. And then that gives me like larger size gravel, medium size, and then I have fine sand, and I don't have to go buy any of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I have it all there. Yeah, it does take you a little bit longer to clean it out, but it's free. I mean,
and pretty much what's around there.
Well, anything that's on there is going to be baked because it gets so hot out there.
Yeah, that's true.
There isn't going to be much on it, but it's in the desert. Nobody's spraying out in the desert. Nobody's trying to fertilize the desert.
Yep.
The only thing that I do try to stay within the washes, because I know anything else, especially down here, we have a lot of that desert pavement, that stone that's been sitting and it has that nice color on top of it. Well, that's a big no-no. You shouldn't pick that up. So I stay away from that as much as as far away as I can get it, and I get it down in the washes, and washes are free to go. They're ever changing and stuff that's it. So
I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do is, most of the stuff is driftwood, but I do get a lot of rocks and stuff and absolutely love it. So, all right, let's go back a little bit and go back to when you were young, and did you do a lot of agricultural type jobs when you lived in the Imperial Valley as a young man? Or walk us through that. What was your very, very first job you ever had? You go back to the very first actual paying job you had. What was that?
Okay. The very first paying job was actually not until I got into high school, and it was my sophomore year. Junior year. Because they at that time, our school was implementing a program called the Youth Experience Services or something. Its acronym was YES, and it was an opportunity for high school students to work within the school facility during one of your electives and your lunch break. So it was. I don't know how they justified it being a class because you never took attendance. Well, the attendance was your timesheet.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And we got paid minimum wage, which I think at the time was like $4.25 or something like that. And but it was the best job for me because I was always involved in sports. I did football, basketball, and baseball all through high school, and so it allowed me to be able to have a little job and still be able to participate in all the sporting events. And I could stay for practice. I didn't have to miss practice. I could go to the road, the away games because our shift would start the period before lunch and then the lunch break. And then after lunch, we were done. And usually all the trips where we would go and play outside of the Imperial Valley, we would leave at noon. So it worked perfect. I never had to miss work and I never had to miss a game.
Yeah.
And
what kind of stuff did you do too? I mean, was it related to the lunch or was it maintenance? Was it cleaning up?
No. It was just washing the lunch trays.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So like for our lunch, by my junior year, they started having like a salad bar in the middle of the cafeteria. And so we would have to make sure during that period that stuff was being, if they ran out of lettuce or whatever, we brought out the new tray and put it in there.
Yeah.
And then that was like the first half hour of the lunch break. And then we would start going back once the tray started coming in. And that kind of was interesting because it was hot back there. And then you were working with steam hot water and, a couple of times you get burned and stuff like that. But, you get out of there for your last 2 periods. No, was it 2 or 3 periods of the day? You smell like lunch food.
Gotcha.
But for me, it didn't matter because I think after lunch I had like one regular class, and then because I was always involved with sports, our counselors would always set up our 5th period class to be PE, and then our 6th period, which was another elective, would be physical conditioning for the athletes. So it was like 2 hours of PE always towards the end of the day. So I didn't care if I smelled like lunch because I was going to be out there sweating anyway. So
yeah, sweat out the bologna smell.
Oh yeah. And so that was my very first paying job. And at first I didn't think it was going to be a whole because it was only minimum wage in 2 hours. But luckily we only got paid once a month like the teachers. So by the end of the month, you had a nice little check. And it was kind of cool because, my mom always said, that's your money to do whatever you want with. So I remember my first check. I didn't even spend it on me. I spent it on my brothers.
Oh,
I ended up because, we always wanted stuff, but because of our circumstances, we couldn't afford some of the nicer things.
Yeah.
And I think I remember I bought my younger brother some shoes that he had liked, some tennis shoes. So I got those. And then for our youngest brother, me and him are like almost 14 years different. So he was a baby then. Yeah. I remember getting him some little toy from, for an infant. And that was my whole check. But, I was happy because I was able to get something for them.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. So just the 2 brothers? That's your okay.
It's 3 of us. We're all guys.
Yeah. Your poor mom. Not a single girl in there to help her out.
Well, and this is interesting because even though we were all boys, my mom said, this ain't gonna work. You guys need to learn how to do all this stuff. So we knew from a very young age, I've always known how to cook as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
I know. I knew how to. I still know how to wash dishes. I know how to do everything.
Yes.
And I didn't realize because she would always tell us. She goes, you're going to appreciate this later down the road. I was thinking, how am I going to appreciate learning how to do all that stuff later on down the road? Well, it turns out that when I left for the service, what do you get? What do you know? She was right because I didn't have to worry about learning how to iron because I already had been ironing stuff for always. I
Yeah.
knew how to wash my own clothes because I was kind of after we became teenagers. My mom quit doing all that stuff, and she said,
Yeah.
"Here, guys, it's on you guys." After junior high, she said, "I'm done. You guys think you guys are all grown up and don't have to listen? Well, okay, you guys are gonna deal, And then so I know how to do all that stuff. I remember her around that age that she took the time to show me how to sew buttons back on stuff. And I was thinking, wow, why do I need to learn how to do this? Well,
Yeah.
when you're in the service and you got your uniform and your button goes missing and you have an inspection, guess what you got to be able to do? Be able to sew that sucker back on so you don't get a demerit for not being in uniform.
Now, do you have kids of your own now?
Yes.
And how old are they roughly?
I have 4 kids. The oldest one is Adam, and he is 33.
Okay.
33.
Wow, your kid's actually older than mine.
No,
my
32.
oldest is only 30.
Yeah, 32, I think.
Okay. So they also knew how to do all that stuff, right? You made sure they knew. No,
well,
Mom took care of them a little bit more.
Mom was more catering to them a little bit more.
Okay.
And but they still learn the basic stuff. I had to show them how to iron.
Yeah.
Because I just told them, I said, this skill is gonna come in handy one of these days.
And so the reason I asked that was because my kids are the same way. They know how to do all that kind of stuff. My youngest son, he's an adult. He's 21. He still lives at home, and he's our cook. He cooks for us just about every night. Yeah. He's a great cook. He really is. But they know how to do all that stuff, and their friends don't know how to do anything. They talk about it all the time, especially like when they were growing up. Their friends would come over, and like my daughter would be doing the dishes, and these other girls had no idea. These other boys had no idea how to do any of that stuff. It's not a common thing these days, I guess.
Well, and they all know how to do everything except cook. They never got into the whole cooking thing. And the problem was that I was the one that always cooked, and they like my cooking. So,
what's your specialty? What's your favorite thing to cook?
At this point, steak.
Yeah, steak. How out on the grill?
Out on the grill. I can do it. I can pan sear it and throw it in the oven and finish it off that way. Now that's usually what I do because it's just me and my wife, and I don't want to go outside when it's 100 and some degrees. In the wintertime, I'm always outside on the grill. But as far as I used to do a lot of pastas when the kids were growing up, a lot of Italian food. But now that I'm gotten older, calories don't go, they don't go away as quickly.
Yeah.
So, and I've kind of changed my entire diet now because it's just me and my wife. So we eat a lot cleaner and a lot healthier.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm kind of hesitant to say, but the kids always liked when I made teriyaki chicken and stir fried rice. That was even now when they come over to visit us, there's always one of them that'll say, "Hey, you can make some of that teriyaki and the fried rice." And I said, "All right."
That sounds good right now. Do they live pretty close to you? I mean,
They're all scattered now, and which is good. And we kind of told them, you guys need to go far away so we have somewhere to go visit. Adam went to, he's right now currently in San Antonio because he's in the Air Force. So he's stationed in Lackland right now. Paul, the second one, he's still in Imperial Valley. So he lives in the city of Imperial. So he's the closest one. Those are the closest grandkids that we have here. And then our daughter Sharon, she just recently moved to Las Vegas. So like 3 months ago, we helped her move over there. And my youngest, Sam, lives in San Diego. So
that's a pretty good spread.
Yeah, so they're all areas that are still relatively nice to go visit.
Yeah. You've got some choices there. You guys can decide who you want to go, what you want to go see. Well, let's rewind a little bit, go back to when you were working. So after high school, did you go directly into the service, and what service? Oh, okay. Walk us through a little bit of that.
No, after high school, I ended up going to a trade school up in Phoenix. That's how my tie into Arizona starts. I went to what was back then the Phoenix Institute of Technology, which is off of 24th Street and University,
Okay.
by
Yeah.
the airport. And
Yeah.
and it was, they were, I guess, in competition with UTI, because the campuses were like literally right next to each other. And the only reason I went to PIT, Phoenix Institute of Technology, was because that's when they had a, what did they call it? It was basically programming, computer programming.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And they had a AutoCAD program. So that's kind of what I was interested in doing, because this is when computers are just starting to, really pick up steam. And so I thought, you know what, I'll do something with computers or electronics. So that's kind of where I went in there. I finished school. Well, I fell for the pitch, because the pitch was that you go after graduation, like 80% of the students find employment, and the whole South. And being young and wanting to get out of the Imperial Valley, I thought, what a better opportunity. And so I went there, and I did learn some stuff, but it wasn't what they said it was going to be. So
Gotcha.
after what happened is, what they were doing is they would pretty much contract us out to I guess it's like the day laborers, like where they do the hiring for employees to work at a warehouse. And the reason they called it that it was within our field, because it was for Scientific Atlanta, where they were making the cable boxes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and they had some final assembly parts where you just had to connect a couple of soldering points, and that was your successful employment after graduating from the school. But it was funny because,
do you remember where that place was too? Where
I think it was near Tempe.
Yeah, I want to say it was still there when because I lived in Tempe for a long time too.
Yeah.
I think I know, right? I can almost see that building, I think.
Yeah, it's all changed now, though, because I had since this is 91, 92, when I was down there. And I remember, I think they were just in the process of putting in the 404, I think it's the one in the east side.
Yeah, the big loop.
The big loop down there. And that was just, they were still trying to work on laying out the pillars for.
They were so far behind with the freeways. I mean, 10 and what's the one? The Superstition.
I-17 and 10 were the two major arterways down there.
Yeah.
When I was there in 91.
So far behind, though, because the place was growing, like Gilbert and Chandler and Tempe, those were all the fastest growing in the nation for decades. And they didn't really build anything for it.
I remember I used to tell my wife because we used to drive from the Imperial Valley, would come down Interstate 8, get into Gila Bend, and then from Gila Bend what is it, the 85, I think?
I don't even rember. But I remember Gila Bend, yeah.
But you would get to Gila Bend and there was nothing there. There was literally just a one. They had that weird hotel that had like the alien theme to it, where they had the flying saucer, and that was pretty much it. And they had one gas station that was open 24 hours, and you drive right by the town. And then I remember distinctly from there to you started seeing civilization in Phoenix. It was like about an hour and a half, or it's nothing but desert. When you hit the 10 from there in the connection, we used to laugh because we had never seen anything like that. There was signs that says, "Do not pick up hitchhikers," because they had the state penitentiary out there.
Yeah.
And I remember the state prison used to be way outside of Phoenix. Now you don't even see it because it's all encompassed with
it's crazy.
Buckeye is growing all the way up to the Interstate 10. Yep. And then you start seeing Gilbert, Avondale, Tolleson. All that did not exist when I was. Well, they did, the exits,
but not
not the cities that they are now.
Yeah.
And I tell my wife, and I the other thing that we always used to remember, because these were the markers to let us know how close we were to Phoenix, was the abandoned, I guess it was a dog racetrack that was out there right before getting to, I guess what is Litchfield or Avondale now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There used to be a dog racetrack. It always stood out because it was like a glass building that was probably at least 4 or 5 stories high, and then it had a little oval in front of it.
We used to go to swap meets there, like in the 70s.
I don't remember if it was a dog track or it was a horse, but it wasn't cars. I know that.
It was dog. I think it was dog. I don't think there was any horse racing at all around the valley. I could be wrong. I don't recall any, but the dog racing was big at the time. Yeah. There was a few tracks. There was another one, South Phoenix too. There was another one. I don't remember what that one was called, but that's where the swap meet moved. That's the only reason I remember it, because we used to go to this massive swap meet that was, 1,000 vendors, and you just go walk around all day long and look at all this weird crap.
Well, I remember going when I was in school up there. We went out there, and that's where I got my ears pierced. It was at the swap meet. I remember it was
It
was like I want to say it was like $14 or $16 to get my ears pierced. That was including the little the little zirconian that they told us was diamonds, and you're like, oh, all right, I got my diamonds in.
Yeah. That's funny.
But that was at the swap meet.
I do miss it in March, like we were talking about before the stream. I do when it's like in the the 80s in Phoenix, it's usually 4 foot of snow here, and that's when I miss it. But that's about it. That's the only time of the year I really miss it. Rest of the year I don't miss it. Like right now, it's currently 67 degrees outside. What's yours?
Out in the garage it was 99. That's why I know I started there, and I was going to be brave and sit there because I wanted to have the nice tanks as a background. But I said no. I have AC. Why am I going to sit out here?
Now, a quick aside: how do you keep those tanks cool out there?
Well, I just run fans. That's it.
Okay.
They're not cool. My tanks are running between 86. Right now they're probably at 84 because it's not as hot. But we had a spell there where we were about 116, and I did have some fish that did die, the weaker ones. But my tanks were 89, 90 during the peak of the heat. And what I was doing is, because it was pointless to try to cool them off during that time, because the tap water was coming out at 85.
Yeah.
So I would have to wait till later on at night, to like around 11 or 12 at night, and then run the water for a good 10 minutes until it was like 80 degrees.
Yep.
And be able to switch out, so do some water changes.
We turned off the hot water in the summertime most of the time.
My water heater's off. It's just the pilot's on.
Yeah.
Just so that it it stays on. But as far as the dials turn, I don't have it coming on at all.
It comes out way too hot already.
Well, I think the water out of the tap the cold water is hotter than the hot water.
Yeah. It is.
It is.
I remember
hot.
that. Yeah. We save money that way by not having to use the hot water in the summer months. There's things I miss. There is. It is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Arizona is beautiful. I especially love going up north, Mogollon Rim, Flagstaff, Payson, Prescott. Cholo, that area.
Wait, but that's not desert though.
No, not at all.
Forest up there.
Yeah. Pine forest. Beautiful ponderosa pines, and just I love it up there.
But here it's for maybe 5 months out of the year, it's where most people would consider it real hot. I say maybe 3 months out of the year it's like real hot. That I even say it's hot.
It's hot.
But to me, anything under 95 it's nice. It's a nice day.
Yeah,
it's a nice day. And
your winters are amazing. I mean, that's
I can keep fish outdoors all winter long and not have to worry about it.
I did miss though, because I came from Chicago, and when I lived out there in Arizona, I did miss those big change of seasons. I missed the snow. I missed the fall. So I do like living here in New York, where we have, the fall is beautiful here. Even the air smells different, and it's amazing. You have bonfires outside all the time, and the winter's a little long. We get 7 months of winter, and it's, we'll get 120 inches of snow on average every year. So it's a lot of snow, but you get used to things. You get acclimated. Yeah,
down here, there's a reason why people come from the north and come to spend their summers down here. Their winters down here.
Yeah.
I know us being down here, it gets in the 40s and we're saying it's cold, but for
Yeah.
most of those people, it's like springtime for them because
Yeah.
I see those snowbirds walking around in shorts and t-shirts
Yep.
and flip-flops.
Yep.
And I'm going, what? I got a light jacket, or a sweater and jeans and tennis shoes
Yeah.
because to me it is cold, but they're like, yeah, it's spring weather.
Yeah.
All right.
And Phoenix, I think Phoenix might be a little bit cooler in the winter months because I do remember it getting cold. I would wear like a heavy coat by time we left. Now, when I first got there, I was one of those snowbirds, and I never wore anything but shorts all winter long. It never got cold. But you get used to those things. You get acclimated.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, anyways, back to working stuff. Geez, I lost my train of thought on that. Where do we leave off with the work?
Okay.
With the jobs?
What was I doing up in Phoenix? I said,
yeah, you went to school in Phoenix. Yep, and you were working Scientific Atlanta.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, that's why I said we were getting contracted out because we found out that we weren't employed by Scientific Atlanta. There was like one of those labor, because we found out we were only getting part of that check, and the hiring agency was getting the other half. And they made the mistake of putting us with regular employees. And one day we were just talking about it, and I don't know how the conversation came up for the pay. And we found out that they were making twice as much as we were. And it turned out, because we went back to our counselor and said, what's going on? And they said, well, no, after you've been there for a year, if they like the way you're working, they'll bring you on with the regular company. Right now, you guys are going through a temp agency. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And but the temp agency collects. Yeah, they wanted you to work for a whole year. Well, it was a way to make money for the tape agency. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And they were collecting half of your check because they're the ones that lined you up with the job.
Yeah.
And I remember going, no, I don't want to do this. And it turned out that my roommate that I had to go back home, and I didn't want to stay around there and pay the whole rent myself for the apartment. So I ended up coming back to the Imperial Valley. And once I got back in there, I said, well, I'm going to go back to school. And since I've always played sports, I joined the baseball team because that was usually the sport that I was, the best at. And I played for the college for a couple of years. And then after that, I still didn't finish schooling. I remember that. I finished my eligibility to play ball was over at the junior college level. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to go take off for the military. And that's when I took off. And I went into the National Guard and went out to basic training. But because I had that experience with electronics, I was able to get a pretty nice military job, and which was signal support specialist, so 31 uniform. And it was with communications. And because of the school that I had, I was able to pick up a little bit of rank. So instead of going in as an E1, I went up as an E3 into the military. And I did my basic. And then after basic, you go do your advanced individual training, or what they call AIT. And because it was one of those technical schools, I ended up doing almost an entire year of training. And I was stationed down there at Fort Gordon.
And what kind of stuff did your training entail at that point? What kind of
at that point we were doing learning how to encrypt the radios, the SIM cards that they had, and then setting up antennas all over. Because we used to help when they were doing training and they do the war simulators. We used to have to go in there and set up all the communications, and then in there we also started doing networking for computer systems, because computers were getting more and more incorporated out on the field for combat. And so we would have to go in there and set up networks. I used to know how to do all that at that point. I don't know. If you ask me now, I probably don't even remember.
And what year was that roughly?
That was like around 94.
Okay.
From 93 or 94 all the way till with the National Guard till 2005, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay. So quite a while. I was an IT guy at the same time. I mean, I worked for State Farm out there in Arizona, in Tempe, at their massive building that they had. It's like, I don't know, 4 football fields of just IT guys in cubicles. And I did that for a very long time, right around that same time period. We might have even passed when you were earlier with like a 91 when you were out there.
Yeah.
We could have met. I could have yelled at you because you got in line in front of me getting some beer or something.
Well, I remember being on the stream, and I made the mistake of thinking that I was in Chandler when I was working up there, because I remember talking about an Exxon that I was working out there, where I got to meet some of the celebrities from the Phoenix area. But it was actually in Scottsdale where I was actually working at, because it was right off of the resort, I think the Phoenician or the
Phoenician is one of them. That's a real nice one.
Yeah, well,
I think they hold the Phoenix Open pretty close. Maybe that's Phoenician? Yes.
Yeah.
I've been there.
I remember it was a big deal because I didn't know anything about golfing, but the guys that used to work at the service station, the Exxon there, were always excited at a certain time of the year because you had all these celebrities that were coming in.
Yeah.
Not only the players, but just celebrities that golfed and they were interested in it.
Yeah.
And that's where I mentioned that I got to meet Alice Cooper, and I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah,
because he wasn't wearing the makeup, and his credit card didn't say Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And
he just looked like an old man.
Yeah, it just said his real name, so I didn't associate it with all. It wasn't until I was done that our manager there, do you know who that was? And I was like, no, an old guy.
And I did not get to meet Alice Cooper, but my roommate was the drummer for the band. He's a big golfer. He was at the driving range and he hit a ball and somebody said, "Oh, you're pulling or you're doing whatever." And he turned around and it was Alice Cooper. And he was like, "You're Alice Cooper," And then he got to be friends with him after a while.
I didn't know he was really big into golf. I mean, everybody knew that around there, but I wasn't from the area.
Now, again, what year was that roughly?
That was between 91 and 92.
So that might have been, I can't remember if it might have been 90 or 91 that I went to the Phoenix Open with my friend. But we went, that's weird. I bet you at some point we saw each other because I'm sure
crossed paths and didn't even know each other.
I mean, it's a big area. There's a ton of people.
Yeah, but it wasn't that big then, though. That's the whole thing, though. Back in that time, it was real easy to get around. And one of the things that I always was fascinated, because I was coming from the LA area, was how easy it was to get around in Phoenix because there was a grid. The whole city was set up like a grid.
Yeah.
And you can go pretty much east and west on the same street all the way across city, or north and south. And it was real easy to get around. I remember that. It was one of the easiest cities to navigate around. I mean, the only thing you had to be careful was make sure that it was 75th Avenue or 75th Street.
Yes.
And
different sides.
Once you knew whether it was avenue or street, then you knew it was either going east or you're going west.
Yeah.
And then Central was actually the center of Phoenix.
And if you drove down Central, you could see South Mountain there and go up into South Mountain. Yeah. Beautiful area.
Mountain.
That South Mountain itself was a beautiful area, I should say. Not that neighborhood so much around.
Oh, yeah.
South Mountain. That was a place
you don't want to go down there past sundown.
No, it wasn't the best place. That's just so funny, though, that, same place. I mean, I've met some people since I've moved here that, are familiar, but nobody who was around that area at the same time. Excuse me. All right. So you did that stuff until 2005. And then what happened after that? What'd you do after that? After you got out of the National Guard?
After I got out of the National Guard, I started working for the school district there in El Centro. And I started out doing
same one that you went to and worked at it.
No, because I was from Calexico. This is like the rival town.
Okay.
And I remember I got hired on there at the Continuation High School. And I think they liked my background coming from what I was doing, that I had the military stuff. And I started there doing security work. And around the same time, I had finished my college degree. So I had already had my bachelor's degree. And I remember the principal when she hired me, the first day I came on, Danette Morel, she told me, she goes, "I want you to make sure that you create a lot of activities for these kids," because the kids were coming to school for half a day, and then the second half of the day they were out on their own. One of the things you need to understand about the Imperial Valley is most of the families there are involved with agriculture, and a lot of these families both parents and dads are working out in the fields. So there's a lot of the times there's where there's nobody home during regular day because they're out working. And we were getting a lot of these kids because they were getting released at noon. They were getting into trouble because either they were going back to the campuses where they got kicked out of, and because they had a girlfriend down there, or they were trying to settle some old score with somebody else or whatever. Yeah. But the case was that they were getting in trouble because they had nowhere else to go. So knowing my background in sports and stuff like that, she said, "Would you be interested in doing some after school activities?" And I said, I was getting paid anyways for the entire day. No, that's not true. I was only getting paid till noon. And she says, if you can find a way so that I can justify paying you the extra 4 hours of the day, I'll do that. And that's what she said. I have an idea. Why don't you, since you're really involved with sports and stuff like that. So I started putting together like little sports tournaments, and you start building a rapport with these kids after a while, and you start finding what their interests are. And a lot of these kids like playing soccer. So the obvious thing was, because they're always talking trash amongst each other, who's better and who's this and all that. And so I said, all right, well, let's put it to the test. And so let's prove it. We would do like little 5-on-5 because our area wasn't very big, and we'd get those unmanned little goals, the smaller scaled goals. And I said, all right, now have at it. And it turned out to be pretty fun. I mean, before you knew it, you had the teachers coming out there and cheering the kids on. And even one of the activities we had a softball game where I was able to get some of the teachers, and it was like faculty against students. And that turned out to be real fun too. So we were always doing stuff like that.
Who won? Who won?
On that one, the teachers won.
Okay.
Yeah, we won on that softball tournament. On the basketball tournament, they whooped our butts. They whooped our butts because none of them were coordinated enough to be able to keep up with them. And so it was pretty bad. It was on the basketballs, we did 3-on-3s because it was just the easiest way to do it. So it became a thing where we do the tournament. I'd start telling the kids to get their teams together, and they'd all go gather with their friends, and we'd run it for probably a couple of weeks. I'd make a little like a roundabout schedule, and then we'd do the best records would move on to a little tournament, elimination tournament, and the teachers would pull together and buy some placards for the students. So it actually became something that was really neat. That's by far has been the most rewarding employment I've ever had. And just because seeing the change in these kids, how much they were willing to appreciate what we were doing for them. At first, they were kind of like, "Oh, I'm too cool to do this," kind of standoffish. But once they started seeing some of their friends that they were involved and they were playing and having a good time, I had probably about half the school involved there. And the ones that weren't playing were there cheering their friends on and stuff like that. And so it was fun times. I really enjoyed it.
You probably could have saved some lives, or at least changed some lives, with those kids that maybe the ones that were just, on the edge there and getting into trouble and stuff, you might have, you made a difference at the very least.
Down there, even though we did have little gangs in there, one of the things that I was always grateful is that it was still like the older type of where gangs where they wouldn't shoot each other, they just kind of fight, and then they call it a day or whatever. We didn't have any losses where you had drive-bys or anything like that. It wasn't that kind of an experience for those kids.
Okay,
but it kept them from getting in trouble as far as maybe getting sent to probation because they were truancy or stuff like that, or they were trying to trespass other school sites. So it did keep them out of that trouble. And we were all having a good time. I like my wife remembers because she goes, that was like the happiest I've ever been. I used to love going to work. And then, at first it's always that the kids are always trying to test you, see how far they can go with you. So, I didn't put up with their stuff, and I wouldn't back down either. So they respected that. And after a while, it was just like, if I asked them, "Hey, I need you to go to class," they'd be like, "All right, Mr. Sanchez, I'm going." And never had any issues. I mean, they'd have fights between them once in a while, but once I would come in and try to knock it off, they'd stop, whatever. And they go, we deal with the ones we need to deal with. And that was it.
Why'd you stop doing that?
Because eventually I got in the classroom. They had because of the continuation, they had a program where it accelerated the kids to be able to get credits, and it was computer based. So they took me out of there and put me in the classroom, and because I was able to get an emergency teaching credential, I was able to all I needed to do, because I didn't have a curriculum. The computer program was the curriculum. I just had to supervise that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and then checking the results from the test. And it was self-paced, so the students could go as fast as they wanted or slow. And I had all the subject matter. I would have their schedule, the classes that they were assigned to be able to do on that computer, and I'd give it to them. Some students, it would take them a whole semester to get done with one course. I had students that were done with 3 or 4 courses within a matter of a semester. So it was all self-paced. They could do it at home too, if they had access to log in and do that. So, and that's why I kind of stopped doing that for the stuff with the kids. I mean, we were still doing some of the tournaments and stuff like that, but this is from 2005 to around 2008. And around 2008 is when a lot of the economy went to the, toilet. And because I wasn't tenured, I was one of the teachers that had to be let go.
Okay.
But that was the only reason I wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
They asked me to come back, but by that time I was already working with the county, and with the county of Imperial. And I said I would love to, but I'm already settled here.
Yeah.
And,
so that was after that then. So you went to and what'd you do with the county at first in Imperial?
I used to work for the Imperial County Air Pollution Control District. So we were the agency that was in charge of trying to implement programs to reduce air pollution.
Gotcha. Okay.
Being down there, because we are a farming community, one of the things that they have down there is they will burn the crops to try to get them to cycle through a lot quicker. The best way to get nitrogen back into the earth is to burn the crop that's on the top, because that feeds the earth. And but the problem is you have to schedule them, and you have to find the right conditions to be able to burn, because the last thing you want is all that smoke to go up, hit the inversion layer, and then drop back down. And that's how you get a lot of that trapped smog and stuff like that. The one fight that we always had down there, that why the Imperial County gets rated so bad for air quality, is not the Imperial County, and it's not the agriculture burning, as much as some of the local civil groups that are in town try to make it seem like it's that. It's not that. The big problem is the big city across the border, because Mexicali doesn't have, well, no, that's not true. They do have environmental regulations, but they're not enforced.
Yeah.
And if they're enforced, there's a way to get around it. And so they don't get implemented. And you're talking of a population of 1.5 million plus versus entire Imperial County, maybe 120,000.
Gotcha.
And down there, their vehicles don't adhere to any of the
hold on one second. I'm still going to be listening. I just got to turn my camera off just for a second. Yeah, I'm still here, but
you coming in? Well, anyways, and what happens is, you have a lot of cars. You can be driving the street and it looks like it's a taco stand, because the smoke coming out of the tailpipe there is so heavy and thick. So you get a lot of that contamination down there. And then the other thing is they still have a lot of streets that are not paved. So you get a lot of traffic on these roads, dirt roads. So that all suspends a bunch of particles up into the air. And it's real easy. It's real evident. If you go to anybody from the Imperial Valley can tell you, if you look south, you'll see this plume that sits down there by the border. And depending on where the wind's blowing, it's either coming towards us or it's going back there. So and you know it's that because whenever we get a heavy rainfall or a big storm event, it'll blow all that stuff out of the valley, and the next day is beautiful.
Yeah,
But and then within a day and a half,
it's all
you
back.
can see that haze down there in the south, and that's where it's from. Unfortunately, that contamination doesn't respect borders, so
No.
it just comes right into the valley, and that's why always people are always trying to make it seem like the air quality in the Imperial Valley is horrible, but it's not really us. It's our neighbors.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? There's
Yeah.
no way around it. So you did that for how long was that one? 2000.
That must have been for at least, I think it was 8 years that I was doing that, and then I eventually ended up where I am now, which is with.
How did you find this other job though?
The job to have in the Imperial Valley is with the Imperial Irrigation District. That's the agency you want to work for. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's trying to come on with them. They're the biggest employers. They're the highest paying employment in the valley. We do have a lot of law enforcement. We have a lot of border patrol. We have a lot of the prison systems because we have 2 state prisons down there. And then we have a lot of customs agents and stuff like that. And as much as they like to say that those guys make pretty good money, it's only because they never have a day off. Yeah, they're making 120,000, but they don't have any days off. They're working double shifts. They're overworked. Those guys are overworked. I used to joke with them because sometimes I'd cross the border, see them in the morning, come back at night, and you're still here. I said, don't you have a home to go to?
This is it.
And yeah, well, it was mandatory overtime for a lot of those guys. They didn't have a choice, especially the newer officers that were coming in. You always knew who they were because you always saw them there.
Yeah,
they didn't have the seniority to be able to get out of mandatory overtime. So those are basically the major employers down there in the Imperial Valley. It's either going to be the law enforcement side of it, whether it's local, state, or federal, or the school districts. But the school districts, everybody knows you're going to go hungry working for the school district. They're the most underpaid, overworked people that I know. And then the other one,
a lot of places that's true. Yeah.
And then the county are good jobs. They're the better jobs, but they're still not the ideal job. I remember I joke with the guys there because when I was working for the air pollution district, I remember I had to manage a budget of $5 million for, at that time, it's when they were trying to change all the diesel trucks to either to cleaner vehicles or adapt the filter that was going to trap all that soot that comes out the tailpipe. And so I had to implement that. I had to manage and implement that program, that grant to these transportation companies. And I remember I got alopecia from the stress of trying to manage this because it was just me, myself, and trying to manage the money, trying to do all these inspections and trying to make sure I met the deadlines for the state and tracking all this money. It was just, that's the most miserable I've ever been. And the pay was horrendous. I laugh because with all that responsibility, the first job I took with the Imperial Irrigation District, which was a very level entry position, no responsibilities. Well, different types of responsibilities, but nothing that was managing money or anything like that or deadlines. I was making like $1 less.
Yeah.
I used to love it. I was like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid to ride around in a truck, open up some gates to release water for a farmer to be able to irrigate. And when he was done, I'd have to come back and close it. That was it. That was the extent of my responsibility. I was like,
yeah.
Whoa.
I've done that too, gone up and then back down and making close to the same amount of money. And yeah, it's huge.
That was at an entry position. Now I still have friends that work there, and I'm going, man, the county's really raping you guys through the coals because the amount of responsibility for what they're paying you guys is insane. And you see it because you talk to neighboring air quality districts, and they're making 2-3 times as much as what they're making, and they have staffs. And here you had one person doing the job of 3 or 4. The county is horrible. But The superintendents make good money. and the CEO and all of them, they always get raises. So it's just one of those,
But now
I work for the irrigation district. And like I said, when I started, different areas call them different. So I've heard them called ditch riders. We call them sanjeros. And basically what it means is all irrigation is on canal systems. And it's all gravity. It's all done by gravity. It goes from the high point to the low point. And what we used to do was we would manage this water, run it through the canal systems, and deliver it to the farmer. And then his irrigator would take over and irrigate their fields. When they were done, they'd call us, and then we'd have to reverse the process. And that's all we did. And I did that for about close to 3 years. And then as soon as an opportunity worked to work out of our command center or the control rooms, where it's basically scaling up the level of what they're doing. We did it at a very local, like what they would call a lateral canal. So we would have, this is like the least amount of water that's running through there, and it's being delivered directly to the fields. The next step was managing the water that's coming from the Colorado River through the bigger canals.
Yeah.
And managing those bigger gates down there. And a lot of that is remote. So you can sit in front of a computer. So that took me out of the field completely. And now I'm sitting in a control room.
Yeah.
And you become an operator at that point.
Now, did you miss being on the field though? I mean, there was some positive.
Very little. Yeah. Very little, because as you know, the weather out in the desert can be pretty extreme. In the summer, even though if you knew what you were doing, you can get out of your truck, make whatever adjustments you needed to do to these big old checks, and be in the truck within less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's several stops along the way. So, and you're doing everything fast. So you do I used to get all drenched and sweaty, but the rest of the time I was sitting in an air-conditioned truck. And, but that was fine. And you're dealing all these dirt canal roads. So you're always dusty and, it was just part of the deal, but no big deal. So when I got back in there, the only thing I missed was not being outdoors in the winter where it's nice.
Yeah.
And just being able to just be outdoors. But as far as the job was concerned, yeah, it's always consistent in the control room. There's more people there that you can interact with, and you have a good time. If you get a good crew, as part of your crew, I loved the crew that I had. It was just 3 of us, and we all got along great, and we all used to rip each other apart. And, we all had something in common, and it was fun times. It was like hanging out with your friends. You were just joking around, and it made time fly real quick. I loved it. But that was still
a huge difference.
At that point, is when I ended up moving to Yuma, and that was probably like a year two of doing that job. But my whole objective was always trying to get to the Imperial Dam, which is on the Colorado River, which is really right next door to Yuma. And I probably for the last 6 years, I've been wanting to get out of California. I'm done with California. And that's just for other reasons, mostly political reasons. But I saw where the states was headed, and I just didn't want to be there. I didn't want to retire out of California. So I told my wife, we're going to move to Arizona. Really what convinced us is we started we were looking to buy a house. This is because we were, for most of that time, I've been living in Mexicali, commuting to the Imperial County to go to work. So I'm crossing the border almost every day. Right around when the pandemic was going to hit, there was all this uncertainty what was going to happen with the international borders, whether we're going to close them or not. And the one thing that me and my wife talked about is like, I can't afford not to be able to go to work because they closed the border. So we decided, all right, we're going to go look for a house, and we'll buy a home in the Imperial Valley. We started looking around, and the market had just superseded what the prices should have been in the market area there, and what you were getting. It was a lot of money for basically fixer-uppers. And what was a nice home, you were going to be house broke. That's what I used to tell my wife. I can afford to pay the mortgage payment, but that's it. We're not going to be able to do anything else Forget about me trying to put a lawn out there. Forget about, doing anything in the backyard. It's just going to be the mortgage payment because it was just, they were outrageous. And some friend of ours had recently moved to Yuma, and we went to go visit them. And while we were visiting there, they hadn't really told us because they were trying to hook us. That's what they were doing to move over to Yuma. And they showed us a house. We loved their house, and we were thinking compared to California prices, we figured their home was to been in the $500,000-$600,000 range. And finally, we were just talking back and forth, and they were asking us because they knew we were looking for a home. I said, no, we haven't found anything yet that fits our needs and is within the price range that we're looking at. And he goes, well, do you want to take a guess as to how much? I said, well, you're sitting on 1.5 acres, and it's a beautiful home. I think it was like almost 200 square feet of construction. And I said, no, you're probably in, 5 to 6. He goes, no, we paid $300,000 for that because it's out in the county. I said, what? I can't buy a house in the Imperial Valley for that price that resembles anything that what you have here. I'm going to get a house that's 20 years old and needs everything redone in it for that price. So she goes, well, here's our real estate agent's number. Give them a call, see what they can do for you. And sure enough, within a week, she had, because she knew we were coming over to see, she had lined up like 7 homes for us. And all of them were under $300,000, and they were beautiful homes. And that's when I turned to my wife and said, you know what?
Yeah.
The money I'm going to save on what we're buying here, I can afford to drive back and forth until eventually I can get to work out at the dam. I said, because that was always my objective, to try to get up to the Imperial Dam. And fortunately for me, it worked out that way. It took me from when we moved here, it was maybe 2 years for me to be able to do that. Things just lined up.
So is the dam federal?
No, that's well, yes. The dam really belongs to the Bureau of Reclamation.
Okay.
And but it's managed by the Imperial Irrigation District. And they're in charge of all they actually was okay. No, let me rephrase that. I think the structure belongs to the Imperial Irrigation District. The water is the responsibility of the Bureau of Reclamations.
Gotcha.
So and they pay the Imperial County Irrigation District to manage that water. So that's how we're involved with them. They're basically paying our agency to manage the distribution of that water there. And from there, we send water to what would be the east side of Yuma County, which is by Welton, Dayland, all that area that's just outside of Yuma. We deliver water to Yuma, to the county of Yuma and the city of Yuma. And then right on the border, there's a little town called Winter Haven, and another, I think, is part of the reservation for the Kashan Indians. And they have their community there. So we deliver water for their agriculture use. And another little small, it's like a date farming community there, which is called Bard, BARD. And we deliver water to them. And then obviously the majority of the water goes down to the Imperial Valley. And then what's left over, based off of a treaty they have with Mexico, they get a certain amount that has to guarantee to be delivered to Mexico.
Yeah.
And so we're responsible for all that there. But it's not, I mean, it's, if you're slightly awake and paying attention to the screens that you're looking at, you're going to be okay.
Gotcha.
If you're just not doing anything at all and doing something else you're not supposed to be doing, you're going to have some trouble because it's a lot of water that's running through there.
Yeah, you really got to be paying attention.
Yeah.
Now, do you have that same type of camaraderie with your
well, there the difference is that it's more of a independent work. You don't really you work right there. They only have one operator. You sit in that control room. There's during the day shift. There's like 3 other guys that are working there with you, but they're mostly out doing some other stuff. Their responsibility is different than what you're doing. I'm looking at several computer screens and monitors, and managing different elevation levels of those waterways to make sure that, as we say, keep it in the banks, don't let it run over. And
Now, be honest. How many times have you been sitting in that control room and watching a YouTube video?
Why do you think I'm chatting on there all the time? Working and lurking. That's my thing.
All right. Just
You
I
know,
thought so.
again, it's all that it's fine and dandy until somebody screws up.
Yeah.
So as long as none of us, and the guys that I work with, even though we don't work together, we have to interact on passing because we got to give what we call the pass down. Basically, what happened the last 8 hours that they were there. What the tendencies are, is the water coming up or down or what's going on. And so we're interacting. Then again, I've always gotten along fine with all my coworkers. Even, I've always worked in places where it's, oh, so-and-so, he's a A, and people don't get along with them. I never had any issues with them. I'd work with them. I just seem to get along with everybody.
Gotcha.
But for me, it's never been a big deal. I know even now where we're at, there's this one guy that most of these guys kind of like, he's sort of special. I have good conversations with him. I don't know. I mean, I don't see what they're seeing.
Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the sort of special one.
Yeah, that's what I say. But I guess I'm more of a people person. I like to talk.
Yeah.
And,
Me too.
I will always find something that I can relate with, or like this guy, he likes old cars, and that's where every time we speak, because he has a couple of old cars, I ask him, hey, how are your projects coming along? And I know a little bit about cars, so we'll sit there and just talk, and that's what it is. I think that's why me and him have gotten along so fine, because he knows he can come and talk to me about his projects and what he's doing.
And you show an interest in things that he likes, and everybody likes that. Everybody enjoys having somebody, ask them about their day and ask them how things are going. But that's a great segue too, because I wanted to talk about any hobbies that you had other than fish keeping. Is cars one of them, really, or you're just interested in cars?
I enjoy watching them. I'm always fascinated with the work that some of these guys, like the chip who's, or the work, how they can take a vision and bring it to life. That's always been fascinated by that. I like the way they look, but no, I'm not mechanically inclined. I mean, okay. I can change the alternator on the car. Well, I don't know about new cars.
Yeah.
I always did my own work on my own cars. My dad was a diesel mechanic for many years. So, a lot of the summers when we were off from school, we were out under the trucks, greasing everything under there. I mean, we'd wear more grease than we would grease the vehicles with, but and that's what he never understood, because our dad was always clean. It was like, how are you a mechanic and always clean? He goes, how can you guys come and help me for an hour and be all dirty? You never get it.
Pay attention.
But, and but it's just, so I understand the basic principles behind how things work in an automobile, but I never overhauled an engine. I never.
Gotcha.
I can't tell you that, this type of boring on the engine is going to generate. No, I'm not a gearhead like that.
Yeah. Same here.
But I can see a car and go, wow, I can see the work that went into it.
Yeah.
And I can see the quality of the work. And I'm an enthusiast. I enjoy it.
Gotcha.
So that's part of it. The other thing,
what other kind of hobbies? Anything really? Is it fish keeping is the big one?
No. I enjoy cigars. I enjoy drinks, bourbon. I spent a lot of time. As a matter of fact, Crowder Barrel. These guys are the guys from the Whiskey Vault. I really enjoy Rex and Daniel, and they're out of Austin, and they do reviews of different types of whiskeys, and I love their dynamic and how the stuff they'll present, the profiles of these bourbons and stuff like that. So I've learned a lot from them. There's a couple of cigar guys that I follow because I really enjoy cigars too. So those are some of my other hobbies. Lately, I've been going down this rabbit hole of I guess it would be cameras, because that's really why I'm looking at new phones, trying to figure out how to improve to record, to do content. And that's kind of the phase where I'm at now. I'm trying to find what's going to be the next gadget that I get for when I'm doing videos. The problem is I have a smartphone that I do all my content on, but this particular one overheats after 4 minutes of recording. And that's something I started doing. Come to find out, this is a problem with this company's phone. And I haven't had it for very long. So I'm at the point now where I'm going to chuck it back at them. And so before I do that, though, I want to make sure what it is that I get. That's going to still allow me to I got it because when I did the research on this, the picture quality of it and the video quality, it was better than anything else out there. It's a Pixel. And you know,
that's what I've got. The Pixel 6 Pro, and I absolutely love it.
Have you had that issue with your phone overheating when you're recording or live streaming?
No, I don't use it for live streams. I do have a webcam, and I really haven't made any. I've made 10-minute videos with it though, and not have any issues. In fact, just this weekend we were outdoors. Of course, it wasn't super hot, but I was in the sun, and I filmed a music festival that we were at, and I filmed 5 minutes of this one band playing, and no issues. I've never had any overheating issues.
Yeah, mine, and it might be that it's insanely hot down here too, though.
You know, it is a big difference. It really is.
I was this summer, I was trying to do videos in the fish room, and I noticed that after being there 10, 15 minutes and not even running the camera, just having my phone in the area, and then I would start to record, and I'd get the little warning that on there that it was going to cut off because it was overheating. And then, so that phone, this is the second phone that I have from them. I went and talked to my carrier and told them what the issue was. They sent it over. They sent me another one, and this was supposed to be a different phone. But I tried doing a live stream from a fish store up in San Diego recently, and the whole time, and this is in San Diego, the temperature, it was a little warm in there, but it must have been like 80 something inside the store.
Yeah.
I couldn't run for more than, I want to say 5 minutes without me not being able to record anymore.
Huh.
I said,
no, I haven't had any issues. I absolutely love it. I mean, I've had Samsung phones since, I don't even know, for at least a decade. I've had Samsung phones, and this is the first time I went with the Google one, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I haven't had any complaints really to speak of at all. I've only had it for, I don't know, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that. But I love it. And I've seen a big difference. Now I have my last phone was a Note 10 Plus, and it had a decent camera for, it's a few years old now, but I see a big difference in quality between that one and this one. Huge difference.
Yeah. Cause that at the time when I got this is the 4A, I kept looking, and all the reviews were rating it even just as good, if not better than the I think it was the iPhone 11 and the Samsung. It wasn't the 20, one before the 20, because that's when I got this.
Maybe the 10.
Yeah, I think so. It was a 10, and I was going, why am I going to pay twice as much for something that's for what I wanted it? Yeah. It was going to be better. And even my wife, when I was taking the first videos and pictures, she goes, wow, she was really surprised compared to her phone because she had a Samsung. And but the issue that I've had with this now is that I can't really record something for more than a few minutes before it just cuts out.
Yeah, and it just gets too hot.
It's just becoming annoying. I didn't have that problem all winter long, but nothing's going to overheat when the temperatures are.
And again, I haven't run this in super hot temperatures. The hottest it's been for the last month, I think we did hit 90. We were about 95 one day for a few hours, but then it dipped down into the 70s at night. And like I said, it's currently 65 degrees right here right now.
Oh, okay.
And I've got a fan blowing on me right there too. So not to rub it in, but see, I'll rub it in now. But this winter when we've got 4 foot of snow and you're over there in shorts, that'll be your turn.
I'll be like, Rico, and I'll have an iced beverage in my hand going, how you enjoying your winter? Come on and play.
We've actually been going for an hour and a half already, so I want to go ahead and open it up to the chat and get some stuff. Oh, before we do that, anything you'd like to tell people either about yourself or about your channel, any projects you're doing? This is sort of like a promotional period for you. You can, anything that you'd like to talk about, feel free. If you got anything coming up. mention.
Like I alluded to earlier, I have a live stream that I do with Steve from Planet Warrior Tanks, and we do every other week. We usually it's on Fish Fam Link. Matt put our information up in there. It's just maybe the name they don't associate either Steven or myself with it, but that's who that is. If you see Fish Plants y Mas,
Yeah.
it's our live stream that we do.
I don't think I did realize that was you, because I did see that and I meant to go watch it. I don't think and I don't know Steve very well either. I mean, I know you far better than I do Steve. But I definitely, like I said, I subscribed and they've been dropping the link for it, and we'll definitely take a look at it next time.
Yeah.
Is it this Saturday you're doing one?
No, it will be next Saturday.
Okay. Okay.
Which let me look at my calendar. I'll tell you exactly when it is.
Okay. But I will open it up. Oh, I'll let you finish though if you have other stuff you want to talk about, and before we open it up.
Yeah, it'll be on the 27th of this month, the next time we stream. And no, we have that, and then obviously we have our own independent channels. But like I said, it's just we're trying to do streams that are related within the hobby, and trying to find subjects, even though they've been addressed and streamed about. We're trying to find a different twist to it.
Yeah.
And make it as much as educational as we can. Sometimes you just can't, and it's just more entertaining than anything else. But it's that ambitious goal of trying to have something that's educational and not boring at the same time.
Yep.
So
now, does Steve live anywhere near you, or where does Steve live?
Oh no, he lives in Houston. So
okay,
we interact a lot through social media and obviously through phone calls and stuff like that. But
gotcha.
That's one of the advents of technology nowadays.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, us getting to talk right now, even. I mean, it's just I gotta love it, because I'm sort of homebound a little bit. I don't get out a whole lot. I am retired, so this is it. This is my social interaction most of the time. Okay, so we're gonna open it up. I see Larry D came in, so now's the time. If you guys have questions for George, please do the @RicoStan so it pops out. Now, can you see chat at all?
Yes, I'm seeing it. Oh, I'm seeing the comments. I don't know on the StreamYard, but I can bring it up on my phone. I think it's the same thing, right? The comments in the
you miss some of them on the StreamYard side sometimes. Okay. Sometimes there's some stuff that's missing, but it's generally the same. And let's see. Fish Ranch, hey there. Yeah, Zen Ginger got it. The very top of the screen up there, rico@ricostan.com is my email address. Yeah, at the very, very top. Okay, Stephen P would like to know, what's your favorite aquatic plant?
It's got to be jungle val, because that grows for me. I mean, all I need to do is put it in whatever substrate. It doesn't even have to be nutrient rich or anything. I've got it growing in straight gravel. I mean, no other thing other than gravel. I don't even put ferts. I don't even do root tabs, and it grows. It just grows.
Your water's got to be hard, I imagine.
Oh yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard.
Is there plants that you don't like? Is there anything that you really
not that I don't like? I just can't get them to grow.
Yeah. What's some of those that you just have a hard time with? Because I have very hard water.
Ferns for me, but I think it's not the hardness; it's the temperature. My tanks are too hot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My tanks are too hot. I get it in there, and it starts turning brown, and it starts shooting all the little seedlings to trying to propagate itself, because it feels like it's dying. Yeah. In the winter, it's not fine. I thought I had my wife convinced to give me one of the spare rooms this summer, because I lost a couple of blue acaras, and she liked them. But that wasn't enough to sell her on it. She goes, nope. Too bad. Yeah. So now I got to figure out. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get one of those. I don't know what they're down here. They call them mini splits. They're just like it's not a window unit. It's a step up from a window unit. And really what it is you get the air. It's a ductless air conditioning system. I think that's what.
Okay.
But
I think
the split unit. Yeah, there's Hitachi. There's a whole bunch of different brands, and down here we get Mitsubishi. We get there's several. I mean, And I think I'm gonna have to go that route. And as much as I don't want to, I think I'm gonna have to cool the entire garage.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty penny. If George could only have tacos or tamales for the rest of his life,
Tacos all day long. I don't like tamales. The problem with tamales. Here's the problem with tamales. Not everybody can make a good tamale, and there's got to be balance, because you have the cornmeal the masa is got to be in perfect relation, in my opinion, to the meat stuffing. If there's too much masa and not enough meat, they're horrible. And
dry.
And then there's nothing worse than a dry tamale.
Yeah,
that you take a bite of it and it crumbles. Don't eat that. That's not that's not a tamale. Don't let people fool you into thinking that's a tamale. It's gotta have the consistency of not rubbery, but it would, I guess the best way to compare it to would be like it's harder than Jell-O, softer than an eraser. But I'm trying to think of a food that has that. I guess it would be like a brownie consistency, where it's not hard, but it's not very soft either. It's got that perfect. Yeah. That's what a good tamale is going to be like that. But no, I'm tacos all day long, because tamales
are seasonal. Like we always have tamales around Christmas, right?
They used to be.
Yeah, we don't ever get them except around Christmas. Still, even here in New York, we have friends who make them every Christmas. Around Christmas.
It's a holiday. It's a holiday food, but you can. And there's certain areas where you can find them year round, because it's just a regular meal. But it's it would be the equivalent as saying turkey for Thanksgiving, tamales for Christmas. That they go hand in hand.
Yep.
And
but I'm getting hungry now. This every time you guys do this to me.
But tacos, you can have carne asada, you can have pollo asado, you can have cabeza, birria. I mean, just anything you think of. You can have even huevo con chorizo tacos. I mean, it's just tacos.
Did they have Filibertos in
Filibertos? Yes.
Yeah.
I thought they were from San Diego, but I guess it's an Arizona thing.
I don't know, but I know that I had them in Arizona, and we used to go there every Thursday night. We would while I was in school. And we would go there. We'd go out and have drinks, and then we'd go to Filiberto's. And one time we went, and my buddy Tom, who actually you remind me quite a bit of. You guys even look a little bit alike. But my buddy Tom, he ordered a big carne asada burrito, and they put a lot of guac and stuff. He put extra guac in it, and this thing was huge. And the guy brings it over to him, and he says something to Tom, and Tom goes, "What?" And he got all mad, and the guy said something else. I didn't hear it, and all of a sudden Tom picked that burrito up and he threw it at the wall, and it splatted all over the whole wall. And he said, "Run!" And so I started running, and I took off. And I was like, "What happened?" I'm laughing and stuff. I'm like, "What happened?" And he goes, "I don't know. He said something to me." And I was like, "What do you mean he said something to me?" He goes, "I don't know what he said, but he made me mad." And I was like, "Well, what did he say?" And he goes, "I don't know." So he was drunk, and he picked up that burrito and just threw it at the wall. I've never seen that big of a spread by any food item ever. It looked like he threw like 2 gallons of soup at the wall or something.
Well, their burritos are probably with like almost 2 pounds of just big old
I miss those. Okay, let's see. You guys are talking about cars a little earlier. What is George's favorite car?
It's got to be it's a Chevelle. But I'm always going between a 1969 or a 70. It's a toss-up between those two.
I have a friend who he had a beautiful one that he restored when he was in high school. Beautiful, beautiful car. He also had a Corvair, and he just had all kinds of those different types of cars. The Corvair was, I guess, the only really weird one.
That's why John Wick kind of became one of my favorite characters, because he comes out driving John Wick 2. He's driving that Chevelle.
I don't even remember. I remember John Wick.
The first one was a Mustang that they tore apart, and that's what he goes to rescue in the second one. But in the beginning sequences, he's on a green Chevelle, painted exactly like the Mustang that he had. But I don't know, there's something about that body style that it's just it's just sexy.
Gotcha. What's your must-have fish? And that's from Paul Cetera.
I think it's still discus. I think I should probably keep discus just because my water temperatures are ideal for them. But recently, I've kind of really been liking the smaller cichlids like epistogrammas and rams.
Oh, gotcha. Crebensis.
So crebensis, yeah, but I like more of the South American ones.
Gotcha. I have some crebensis. Absolutely love them. Let's see. Where are we at? Larry D, what's up? You know I gotta ask, Mexicali, how spicy do you like your food?
Larry, I've seen the stuff that Larry eats.
Yeah, you know him.
I tip my hat to you, Larry. You're insane. You're a madman. I don't know how you like to punish us. I saw the last one I saw, he was eating some gummy, and when I saw his face, when he went like his eyes got big, I said, "That's got to be super hot." If Larry's reacting that way.
Yeah. If he can feel it,
he goes, got rid of it. I said, "That sucker." No, Larry, I'm nowhere near. I guess what you would consider not even a mild, because the stuff he eats battery acid.
Yeah.
No, I like heat for pleasure and the flavor, not for pain and torture like you. No, I don't do that.
Well, to be fair for Larry, he does really talk about when something's got a good flavor, even though it's hot. If it's got a good flavor, that's the stuff he really likes.
You can't pick up flavor when your head's on fire. Forget your tongue. I got an experience on that. Down in Mexicali, every year they have a fair called, in Spanish, it's called Las Fiestas del Sol. In English, it would be Festival of the Sun. And one of the attractions is they have this food court, and they bring in food from all over Mexico. And you get to go try different things from different regions of the country. And down here, taco stands, or what you guys call street tacos, are prevalent everywhere. And it's real common that when you go to a taco stand, one of the condiments that they offer are pickled carrots. Pickled carrots with onions and jalapenos.
Yeah,
that's real traditional.
My mouth just started watering because I love them.
Well, we went to this one place that was from Oaxaca that had sandwiches, tortas from Oaxaca. Well, I didn't know that down there they like Scott bonnets or habaneros.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember we sat down. It was a group of us. It was like a group of like 12 friends. We're all from college, and we're all going back and forth and stuff like that. Well, we were so engaged in conversation, we saw them bring out the tray with, all the condiments that you want to put on there, salsas and limes and pickled onions and stuff like that. And in front of me, they put down the orange circles. And I was not paying attention. I just assumed that they were, pickled carrots, because that's, So they bring out our meals and we start putting them together. And I noticed that the waiter is kind of, how you feel when somebody's staring at you?
Yeah.
But he didn't want to say nothing because he didn't know if he needed to say something or not.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm sitting there and I'm talking and I'm scooping, I'm getting from that and I'm putting them because I like the carrots. I love those pickled carrots. And then, he sees me put it together and I go to take the bite. And as I'm closing down on it, I hear him say, "They're habaneros." And it just kind of clicked on me and I looked over and bit down on it. And then I realized what he had said. Oh my God, I was not ready for that. I literally felt like the cartoon wolf, the werewolf, where his head would open up and the stream of fire would shoot out and the top of his head would blow off. God, that's exactly the way I felt. I said, I understand now. And I remember everybody was kind of like, what the hell's going on? And he goes, yeah, they're habaneros, they're habanero peppers. And I was like, well, okay, now I'm in this mess. I remember that so vividly. Up until that point, I really didn't eat spicy food. I was one of those weird Mexicans that didn't eat. I didn't eat very spicy food. Ketchup was spicy enough for me. And I remember everything hurt on the top of my tongue. I started hiccuping uncontrollably, and I was just pouring. I was grabbing people's drinks from my table because I was just lost control. And I remember that the rest of that night, the whole time I'm like a damn dog through the whole event because I can feel my tongue so fat and swollen. I can't taste anything. It just burned all my palate and everything. And it was like that for like 2 or 3 days where it was just hurt. I do this stuff and my tongue would hurt. But the upside of all that was all of a sudden I could eat stuff that was more spicier than
You burned it all out.
Yeah, you know. Now I'll have it, you know, because we'll buy el Huisteco is what the name of that brand is. It's a little bottle, but all you need is a drop.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, if you're eating a caldo or you want just a little bit of heat. And I understand what Larry says. Yes, there is a flavor profile from that is very good, but I'm not doing the whole spoonful like he does. And then just, oh man, I see that every time and my stomach hurts.
Do you remember in Phoenix, Bash's, the grocery store chain? Bash's?
Yeah, I remember seeing them, but I've never been in them. I used to go to, I was more of an Albertson and, what was the other one? Rainbow?
It was, let's see, Fry's and Smith's and Albertson.
Oh, Smith's is the other one that I used to.
There was, when I lived in Arizona, they actually was the
Smith became Fry's, right?
Fry's, which is Kroger's, they own pretty much all of them nowadays. Yeah. They own so many. But anyways, I worked for Bash's. I was a produce manager. And I just want to tell you, when you're dealing with those hot peppers, wash your hands before you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wash them after too. Wash them before you go to the bathroom. Especially if you have to, you know, stand up and go to the bathroom. Wash those hands really good before. Yeah. But I was telling a guy, I'm cleaning up the pepper area, and one of the kids came over, one of the baggers. He came over, and I was talking about habaneros, and I was like, these ones are hot. At the time, we didn't have any hotter ones. That was the most we had. It was like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I can eat anything." I'm like, "These are hot." And I can eat anything. I said, "I'll give you $10 if you eat this and keep it in your mouth." So he was like, you know, big and bad. He took a big bite out of it. He's like chewing. And then also he's like, you know, he starts clawing at his tongue, you know, and he's like, oh, he's got snot. He had a mustache. He had snot coming out of his nose and his mustache. And he went home. He got sick and he had to go home.
Oh, yeah.
The next day, the kid comes up to me and he goes, I gave him his $10 and he goes, I could use another $10. He wanted to do it again. I was like, you haven't gone to the bathroom yet, have you? Because that comes out just as hot, if not hotter. Okay. Let's see. Where were we at here? So much food. All right. I'm looking for the @Rico. Oh, there we go. Snoochie Boots would like to know if you miss your time with the guard.
Now I do. Just because, you know, it becomes a family. That's really what it does. I mean, you just interact with them, even though it's not on a day-to-day basis. There's still that connection. You know, and I was attached to an armor unit, so these guys were all tankers, and you just get cliquey because you have to be with that specific crew inside that tank. And I just because I was a radio guy, I interacted with all of them, because anytime their comm went down, they would call me over and I'd have to go troubleshoot what was going on, you know, whether it was operator error or it was actually a bad connector or something like that. But yeah, I do miss that side of it. I remember anytime we would go out to the field and just kind of, you know, shoot the shit in the afternoons and you know, just get along with everybody. You know, it was just, yeah, I do miss that. I don't miss the having to do it every month, and because sometimes it never failed. I don't know why, and it didn't matter. The one weekend you had to show up, you always had something really cool going on in your family, and you always had to miss it. And I used to hate that because, we used to joke around about it. I said, it's just coincidence. But there would be times where our assigned drill date would get switched for some reason or other, and it would happen that, you know, you were thinking, all right, it's going to be great. You know, I'm finally going to go, not be able to miss this family event. Well, because the damn thing got switched. Guess what? It happened to fall on that weekend that you wanted to do it. So that's the only thing I don't miss is that it just for some weird reason it always coincided with some family event that was going on.
Yeah.
And it would be crazy because the other 3 weekends that you had off, nothing was going on.
Your family planned it that way. You know that, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Well, now that you mention it, I hadn't thought about it that way.
Oh, George is going to be.
I'm going to have to make some phone calls and find out what was going on.
Let's see, Lottie, what's going on? We're actually at the bottom of the chat. Nano Aquarium Guy would like to know your favorite YouTuber outside of the Fish Fam.
Outside of the Fish Fam. That would probably be, like I said, either Daniel and Rex from the Whiskey Boat or Tim Swanson from Cigar Daily. And he's out of the Phoenix area.
Gotcha. Never got into cigars. I
No.
don't know. I don't know why. Just never did.
I guess that's supposed to be a military thing.
Maybe. Yeah. I never served. So.
You know, it's just because, you know, we used to get them. It was just kind of the thing to do at the end of the night. You sit back and, you know, talk smack about each other and smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I still enjoy it, because it reminds me of that. Even though my favorite time to do it is sitting out here by myself, and it's because it's some downtime for me. And but I guess it's nostalgic more than anything else.
Yeah.
It's just,
I like the other part of it, the whiskey and the different stuff. I mean, I have my times, not so much these days, but I've definitely had, in the past, those times when I enjoyed a good, bottle or two.
Oh yeah.
In the afternoon.
Right now, the flavor of choice is Smoke Wagon from it's Nevada Distillery. It's around in Las Vegas, I think. And the way I got turned on to that, my favorite bourbon is Booker's. But Booker's is so hard to find nowadays because it became that one. It's almost like that Pappy Van Winkle, where it's as hard to find. It's not as expensive. It doesn't have that cult following, but you don't find it as readily as you used to. And I happened to be coming back from San Diego, and I stopped in the little town of Alpine because they have a cigar shop there. And in talking up with the cigar shop owner, I asked him, I said, by any chance, do you have a bottle of Booker's back there? And he goes, nah, I wish. He goes, I know the owner of the liquor store right down the street. He goes, he's a good friend of mine. Let me give him a call. And so he called him up. Yeah, he had a bottle there that he had ordered for a customer and didn't pick it up. So I went and got it. And while we were talking, I said, look, since you do this for a living, is there any other whiskeys out there that are similar in profile to this that are a lot easier to find? And that's how he pulled out 5 bottles and had me try them because he had a taster license. So he had bottles there that were for tasting, and he goes, these are similar in profile. He goes, and he pointed out, I think the Smoke Wagon is going to be exactly what you're looking for. He goes, it's kind of new. Nobody knows too much about it. He goes, and you can pretty much find it. I have it here locally at the Sam's Club. So, and I shouldn't probably be talking about it because then it's going to start getting popular.
Oh, it's on my channel. Nobody's going to see it.
And I love it because it reminds me so much of Booker's, but easy to find and nowhere as expensive. It's still because it's relatively new. It's still one of those affordable everyday bourbons. So
I know Stephen P's here, and he's a big whiskey guy, especially banana whiskey. He really loves banana whiskey. Huh. It's a joke. He absolutely hates it. He thought it was disgusting.
Oh, okay.
But he is a big whiskey.
It's like what's that cinnamon? What is it?
Fireball.
Fireball. Oh.
Yeah, I like
that.
I'm a rum guy.
Yeah, my daughter brought it in for, I think it was Thanksgiving dinner, thinking that I was going to like it because it was whiskey. You're no longer my daughter, and you need to get out of here.
You disowned her.
Yeah,
M&C,
I told her, come back with a Lagavulin bottle, and then you can be my daughter again.
Oh, I've never tried it. I just know it has to be disgusting, Steven said. I just remember him talking about it and saying how much of. Hey, there's Ed. What's up, brother Ed?
Yeah.
And I do see Bentley in 20 minutes. And currently, actually, right now, Mitch, Snoochie Booch, is going to, not Snoochie Booch. I'm sorry. I just saw Richard. Mitch, Scruffy City is also, he started about 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
So you guys, you got some choices there. I do go over a half an hour over Mitch, but he's a good guy, and you should watch him. He's got some good stuff, and he is going to be our guest this weekend. This Friday night, Chattanooga Ed and I are starting a new series called Fried Fish, and we're going to interview a bunch of small channels. He'll be our very first guest, so it'll be a lot of fun. Let me see. So, Ed said, please tell Mexicali hi from me.
Hey, Ed.
And we are at the bottom of the chat. Hi, Victoria. How are you? It's good to see you too. I saw a lot of those pictures of you at Aquashella. Looks like you were busy as hell there. Victoria actually helps put it all together.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I didn't realize she was that involved with them until I started watching her Instagram, and a lot of the stuff, a lot of the displays. I guess she has a lot. She partakes in a lot of that.
Very artistic. Very artistic. All right, we got about 9 minutes left. Again, is there anything you'd like to tell people? Anything we didn't touch on?
Well, yeah, I want to say thank you very much. I never thought I'd hit 500 this quick. I hit it last week. I think I'm sitting at 511 now. I'm just, I thank you. I don't have any other words really to say other than thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you guys find me somewhat interesting and are willing to support me. So thank you very much for that.
Well, you support other people too, and that makes it so much easier. You know what I mean? Because we have some people that they're out there, they're part of the fish fam, but they really don't interact with this. But you're one of those people. You're in live streams all the time. You're supporting other people. That makes it super easy. It makes it just that much easier. Even somebody whose content is just okay, the fact that they support other people, we want to support them. Well, that's with you. Your content's great, so it just makes it that much easier. And that's what it's all about. It's a great community. We all trying to support each other, and I don't know, just be kind, be good to each other. Surf City, what's up? Victoria said, I love learning more about you, Mexicali. You're a cool ass dude, and yet you are very interesting indeed. Cool ass.
Gracias,
dude.
Victoria. Te lo agradezco mucho.
Rocco has a new Instagram post for a new project. I think it's something with the training or something, right? I did see that. Excuse me. Well, I guess it's a good time to end it. Thanks again, George. I'm glad we finally were able to work out the schedule and stuff. And I think next Tuesday is Lucas Bretz. I'm not sure yet. But I think Lucas Bretz will be our guest for next Tuesday. And again, Friday night, Scruffy City will be our first guest for Ed and I. So that'll be that's actually on my channel. We'll start doing that. And yeah, we'll see you guys when we see you.
That's not the geek show.
No, the geek show, we're gonna try and do a little more regularly. That's on Mondays, and that'll be that's on Ed's channel. We try to do that as often as we can, and that one's a little different because we talk about comic books.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and Scruffy is on right now. He started about a half an hour ago. We always go over about a half an hour. So okay, we'll see you guys all later. Go over and see Scruffy. Zenny, can you drop the link? You already did. Nope, you dropped the other one. If you would, please drop Scruffy's link, if you would, so everybody can go over there and watch him. Everybody go hang out with him. Great guy. You'll like him. See you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Zenny. You rock. All right.